In Russia, wage arrears have reached a 9-year high. Compared to last year, they have more than doubled. This was reported by the Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, citing data from Rosstat. At the end of the year, 15,000 Russians did not receive their earned wages. The rate of increase in wage arrears is the highest in the past 2 decades. All of this is due to economic exhaustion caused by the war. The Center for Countering Disinformation emphasizes that the aggression unleashed by the Kremlin against Ukraine is increasingly hitting Russians themselves. A labor shortage. Russia is bringing in migrants from India and Sri Lanka. There aren't enough workers, reports Bloomberg. Last year, 240,000 work permits were issued to foreigners, the highest figure in the past 8 years. Against the backdrop of a labor shortage, Russian recruiters have started recruiting workers from Bangladesh, China, and India. According to forecasts, another 11 million workers will be needed by the end of the decade. Nowadays, migrants are increasingly taking municipal positions such as snow removal and working in construction. In these circumstances, Russian companies prefer workers who are tied to their workplace by visas and contracts, as opposed to migrants from Central Asia who have visa-free entry and often change employers. Therefore, labor migrants from India are cheaper and represent a more stable resource. At the same time, Chinese citizens are mostly focused on working at their own enterprises. Indian oil refineries are avoiding the purchase of Russian oil. According to Reuters, Delhi is seeking to sign a trade agreement with the United States. The largest oil refineries are not accepting offers from traders to load Russian oil in March and April. Currently, India remains one of the countries that buys the most black gold from Russia at significant discounts. However, the US and India have agreed on a framework agreement that provides for lower tariffs and deeper economic cooperation. And President Trump cancelled the additional tariff that had been imposed on Indian goods because of the purchase of Russian oil. At the same time, India promises to stop the direct or indirect import of raw materials from the Russian Federation. Belgorod in darkness. Saturday evening in the Russian border region turned into a massive blackout after a series of loud explosions. The missile attack left the regional center and nearby settlements without electricity and without mobile communication. All the comprehensive details are included in our report.
The firefighters drove off and a drone flew after them.
Drones from the SBU's Special Unit Alpha struck a strategic facility, the Redkinsky Research Plant in the Tver region. This enterprise is a critical link in the Russian military-industrial complex. It is here that the unique Desilin M fuel for KH-55 and KH-101 cruise missiles is produced, as well as additives for aviation kerosene. Satellite data from the FIRM system confirm a large-scale fire on the plant's territory after the strikes.
The Security Service of Ukraine continues systematic strikes on key facilities of the Russian military-industrial complex. The targeted plant is an important link in the creation of cruise missiles with which Russia attacks Ukraine. Even a temporary halt in its operations complicates the production of missile fuel and reduces the enemy's ability to maintain the intensity of shelling our cities.
There were also fires in other regions of Russia. In the Saratov region, defense forces struck the Balashov oil depot. OSINT analysts have already confirmed a branch of the company Rosneft was hit. Local residents reported columns of fire trucks in the area of the facility immediately after the attack. This is a strategic logistics hub. There are 27 tanks on the base with a total capacity of over 15,000 cubic meters of fuel. It is from here that the region is supplied with petroleum products, and therefore, so is the enemy's military equipment. And in the Belgorod region, after a missile strike, part of the area was left without electricity. A strike on a concentration of enemy personnel in the settlement of Dronivka near Belgorod has also been confirmed.
The defense forces of Ukraine will continue to carry out systematic measures aimed at weakening the combat potential and logistical capabilities of the Russian aggressor.
Enemy drones remain a top priority target for the defense forces. In the area of Komish Zorya in Zaporizhzhia, our soldiers destroyed a center where the occupiers not only produced FPV drones but also trained their pilots. In addition, the enemy lost control in the sky. UAV control points were destroyed in 3 locations at once, near Huliaipol and Rivnopilia in Zaporizhzhia, as well as near Mykolaiivka in Donetsk region. The occupiers' heavy artillery was also set ablaze. In Donetsk region, in the areas of Novomayorsky and Poltavka, a Uragan multiple rocket launcher system came under attack. And to ensure the enemy had neither the means nor the place to repair their damaged equipment, the armed forces of Ukraine struck a repair base in the village of Yalta Donetsk region. The occupiers' infantry also found no respite. Artillery and drones targeted concentrations of Russian troops in key directions. In particular, precise strikes were recorded in the area of Chasiv Yar in Donetsk region, as well as near the settlements of Rivnopilia and Dorozhnyanka in Zaporizhzhia region.
The occupiers' losses and the extent of the damage inflicted are being clarified. Ukraine's defense forces will continue to take targeted actions to reduce the enemy's offensive capabilities and combat potential.
From the destruction of chemical plants deep in the rear of Russia to the precise elimination of equipment on the front line, the defense forces continue to systematically reduce the enemy's offensive potential by depriving them of fuel, missiles, and eyes in the sky. Daniil Dayomin details, InterTV channel Marathon United News.
Explosion. And during the night, the enemy launched a massive drone attack on Kharkiv and Dnipropetrovsk regions. It is known that 2 people were killed and 15 were injured. In Bohodukiv, a Shahed-2 drone crashed directly into a residential building. The bodies of a woman and a 10-year-old boy were pulled from the rubble. 3 more people were injured. There are also victims in the villages of Zoloshiv, Polova and Luzhok, according to the Kharkiv Regional Prosecutor's Office. And 9 people were wounded by the occupiers in Shakhtarsk in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Among them is a 13-year-old girl. All the victims are in the hospital. 1 woman is in serious condition. The rest are in moderate condition. Drones hit apartment buildings. 1 of them caught fire, with the roof and floor severely damaged. The occupiers launched 11 ballistic missiles from the Bryansk region at Ukraine. During the night, 149 attack drones were launched. Our air defense forces shot down and suppressed 116 of them. Some of the Iskanders were also intercepted, so they did not reach their targets. There were missile and drone strikes at 15 locations. In Volyn, the Russian army attacked a high-voltage substation. It was completely put out of commission. 80,000 families are without electricity. These are residents of Novovolinsk and nearby villages. According to the mayor, critical infrastructure is being powered by generators. In particular, they managed to restore the operation of the water utility and boiler houses. In the Russian city of Belgorod, a mass evacuation was announced due to heating problems. Local authorities are complaining. After strikes on energy facilities, repairs have not yielded results. Nearly 100,000 Russians as well as educational institutions are without heat. Water began to be drained from the buildings, and in some entrances waterfalls and flooding have formed. Kremlin-affiliated Telegram channels report that the governor of Belgorod region is asking not to strike Kiev and other Ukrainian cities anymore because there are retaliatory strikes and Russian air defense cannot cope. In the Kremlin, the official has already been called a traitor. There were 312 combat clashes on the front line over the past day. The enemy is attacking the most in the Donetsk region. In the Pokrovsk direction, our defenders stopped 72 enemy assaults, and in the Kostiantynivka direction, 32. Ukrainian soldiers are holding back the enemy on the Sloviansk and Lyman sections of the front. The Russians are actively advancing in the areas of Kupiansk and Vovchansk in the Kharkiv region. The assaults do not stop in the Huliaipol direction, where there were 29 enemy attacks. During all the battles, our defenders killed and wounded 1,250 occupiers.